All right, so what's going on, family? Great rising, great rising. What I'm going to be doing today is pretty much answering the question that was posted on one of our sponsored promotions. Okay, and basically, the young lady, I won't say her name. Basically, the young lady asked, "How is this drink?" Okay, in particular, this one right here, the POB. Can't really see it because it's this one going out. How is the POB alkaline if the pineapple, this right here, this wonderful fruit right here, if the pineapple is acidic? Okay, got my greens. So that was the question asked. How can the POB be alkaline if the pineapples, the ingredients are acidic? Okay, so that's what we're gonna talk about. All right. So first and foremost, what I want to say is this. I want to start off with the simple fact that I kind of understand where that question actually stems from, and if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It comes from the Dr. Sebi, all right? It comes from the Dr. Sebi approach. It comes from the Dr. Sebi's understanding, okay? That's where it comes from. And what I have been attempting to tell people for a while is that Dr. Sebi's food guide, Dr. Sebi's food list, it pretty much consisted of certain things. I'm gonna try to make this very, very short. So, me myself, I've had my experience with Dr. Sebi's food list, his food guide, right? I've had my experience. Like I actually did it. I'm still on it. Okay, I'm still on it. But the thing is, when I was actually really, really being restricted with the products that he provide and the food list that he provide, I had to really understand where it was coming from. And this is no way in any shape or form a knock towards Dr. Sebi, okay? Because Dr. Sebi, without Dr. Sebi, won't be no alkaline environment, okay? I say it all the time. So the food guide, the food list, the foods that it consists of, Dr. Sebi, and this is not coming from my own interpretation. This is not coming from my opinion. All right. This is what I've heard from close people to him and people who was actually raised by him and one of his closest partners. I'm not gonna say any names. Okay, when he was still alive in the flesh. When Dr. Sebi came out with his food guide in the 80s, 90s, okay, we were dealing with a pandemic. And I say a pandemic because I'm talking about a particular race, the black race. We were dealing with a pandemic within our race, okay, that was very, very detrimental. And that was the crack cocaine era. That's what that was. So a lot of people were strung out on drugs, crack, cocaine, heroin, you name it. So what Dr. Sebi did was he created a food guide. He created a list, okay, that would, a list of items, a list of products and things of that nature, and tonics and herbs. What he did was created that because he knew this would be more suffice, okay, for people who are really trying to get out of this deficit, who's really trying to, change their lives, who are really trying to overcome this adversity, who are really trying to get clean. That's why he made the food guide. That was one of the reasons for his whole concept behind it. A lot of people don't understand that. So the food guide is very strict because he knew that he had to put together a list, and that's why I kept updating. That's why I kept changing, because he knew he had to put together a list that would be more suffice for the people to help them through these tough times. Okay. So moving up to this day and age, we have a different ball game. We're not strung out on coke. We're not strung out on crack. Okay? We're not strung out on these things. Yeah, we may, we may like pop a few pills and things of that nature now, but it's not how it was back then. So information is always updated. New information is always coming out. New information, new changes always have to be made. We have to understand this. And anytime, okay, let me say this, anytime you think you know it all, okay, that's when you start growing. That's when you start learning. That's when you really do become ignorant. You have to always keep your mind open for new information, okay? You have to, because this is the only way things progress. This is the only way we grow. We have to understand this. So, when you understand Dr. Sebi's, like, his mindset in those day and ages, when you understand his mindset in that time frame, you'll see why, the list was the way it was. So this is not saying that we need to do away with the list. No, we just need to understand the perspective and his perception of things when he was making his list. Okay, so I say all that to say this. Just keep your mind open. Just keep the information, coming in. Just keep doing your research. Keep doing your search, and you'll, trust me, because it's not the one all see all. Like it's not the end. Okay. So when it comes to certain foods, this is another thing I've been really trying to get people to understand. What I've been trying to get people to understand is that when Dr. Sebi spoke of alkalinity, when he spoke of acid, when he spoke of these things, and this is not my opinion, this is what I've heard from close people to him, okay, people who was raised by him. He wasn't primarily talking about everything. He really wasn't. Dr. Sebi really didn't break a lot of things down, okay? But that's okay, because when you do your search, when you do your research, you will start to understand this stuff. Now, when it came to acidic foods, okay, yes, he would talk about certain vegetables, he would talk about certain fruits and things of that nature, and say, okay, they're acid, this and that, okay? But what he was primarily speaking of, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but what he was primarily speaking of, he was primarily speaking of foods that doesn't naturally occur, okay, in nature. That's what he was speaking of, because he talked about crossbreeding, he talked about hybrids all the time. And when you understand that certain foods can't be created, okay, by man, that is a bona fide hybrid. But hybrids do exist in nature, okay? Hybrids do exist in nature. You have to understand that. But what he was speaking of is those hybrid foods that have been created in some form of way by the manipulation of man. That's what he was talking about. That's when they lose their nutritional value and they're not as potent as the plants or the fruits or the vegetables that occur naturally in nature. You have to understand that. And when he was talking about certain foods, in particular, let's say meats, we know that meats they are very acidic. So when you consume these foods, primarily the meats and the hybrid foods that man have pretty much created and manipulated, these are the foods that will have less nutritional value, and in some cases, they will harm you, okay? That's what he was talking about. Now, we have to understand something. Our blood is neutral. It's at a 7.35. That's our blood. Other organs on our body, in particular, the stomach, is very, very acidic. Why is that? Because the absorption that needs to take place, it has to have an environment where it's efficient enough to get certain particles, certain properties in. This is a fact. This is a fact. So, for example, vitamin B12. Vitamin B12, okay, is hardly, it's very, it's tough to absorb. So you need the environment in your stomach to where this vitamin B12 can be absorbed, okay? This is a bacteria from the soil. So it needs to be in an environment where it can be absorbed. And this is why your stomach is very acidic. This is why, that's the reason for it. So it's not a thing where alkalinity is the only way. That's not what it is. It's not a thing where alkalinity is the only way. We need a balance. If you look at the pH scale ranges from 0 to 14, okay? With our blood being a 7.35, that put us right in the middle. That's balance. That's ma'at all day. So that's why it's a such thing as alkalosis and acidosis. Because if it's too alkaline, okay, then that can be a problem. And if it's too acidic, that also can be a problem. So it's a balance. We need to be pulling from both sides. You have to understand this. You have to understand it. This is why some of your cleaning products like bleach, like ammonia, okay, these things are very acidic. And when you really, if you really want to take it, if you really think about it, bases burn more than acids. And what does that mean? That merely means that the more alkalinity it is, the more harmful it is. And let me give you an example. So pineapple is acidic, okay? It's not a citric acid, but it's acidic. So it ranges from 3 to 4. 3 to 4, so that's highly acidic, right? Bleach and ammonia is, I think, between 11 and 12 on the pH scale. So that means it's high. The alkalinity is high. But I guarantee you that you will not take a cap of bleach, okay, even a half a teaspoon of bleach and drink it. I guarantee you won't do that. But you would take this pineapple and juice it up and drink it. And you won't feel, you pretty much won't feel anything unless you are dealing with a severe situation or a severe case of acid reflux. That's about it. Other than that, you should be okay. Or if you're allergic. If you're allergic to pineapple, then yeah. But people who are not allergic and people who are not dealing with a severe case of acid reflux, you will be okay. But I don't care who you are in this world, you're not fit to take a cap of ammonia or a bleach and drink it. You're not fit to do that. Even a half a teaspoon, you're not going to do that. Okay? Because it doesn't belong in the body. It's too much. Even, I'm going to use another example, all right? Because y'all may say that's not a good example. Because it's dealing with cleaning products, dealing with food, okay? So let's deal with essential water. Essential water, okay, is a pH of 9. 9, I think 9 plus, right? Something like that. But what a lot of people don't know about essential water is that essential water is tap water, okay, with added chemicals to raise the pH level. So it's not natural spring water. It's not. It's tap water that has components in it that raises the pH, and that's why it's a 9. But again, your blood is a 7.35, so why do I need my drink or something I'm consuming to be that high of a pH? You drink that water on a daily basis consistently, yes, I guarantee you will have headaches. Because you tampering with the blood, and you don't need that. So it's a balance between acid and alkalinity. Acid and alkalinity. This is what we have to understand, family. This is what we have to understand. So this is the reason why you can eat most of your fruits, your citrus fruits, that's acid, and you'll be okay. Okay, because one, again, they helping with the absorption. They're loaded with antioxidants. They're allowing other nutrients to come in. All right, and most of your fruits derive from a soil that is at a very low pH. You have to understand this, family. Now, when you're dealing with pineapples are very, very beneficial. They're very, very good for you. When you take off the top part of this, right? When you take out the top part of this, break it off in the stem, okay? What you're gonna find is an enzyme called bromelain, right? Bromelain, okay? And let me just get y'all a few benefits of this bromelain. Matter of fact, let's do this. When we dealing with enzymes, what are we talking about? Enzymes are what? They are very essential for healthy digestion in a healthy body. Okay? What do enzymes do? They work with other chemicals in the body, such as your stomach acid, your bile, okay? To do what? Help break down food into molecules for a wide range of bodily functions. That's what enzymes do. That's what enzymes do. So we need it for metabolism. We need it for absorption. We need it for digestion. We need it for cellular function. That's what we need it for. So if we don't have enzymes present in our body, if we're not eating foods with enzymes, it's a problem. It's a problem. It's a huge problem. Now, let's deal with the bromelain, right? Let's deal with the bromelain, right? So, why is the bromelain important? I already told y'all it's an enzyme, right? So we know it's an enzyme, and we know it's good for so many different things. But here's some of the benefits from the bromelain. Okay, so when we're dealing with bromelain, it helps what? Promote the removal of cellular debris, okay? So that way, it can allow the immune system to do its job. Gotta understand this. This is no joke. So when you're dealing with pineapple is probably one of the only fruits that have this bromelain in it. It reduces pain. It protects the gastrointestinal system. It calms down allergies, asthma, sinusitis. Come on. In some cases, have been shown to help it for it to be helping fight cancer. And it's good for your blood. Okay. It got fiber. It got all these different things. So so to answer the question, how is it alkaline? It's not alkaline. Now, in some cases, you will see, in some studies, you will see that it will say, oh, as it's absorbed, okay, as you eat it, and it's absorbed by the body, it does turn alkaline. It does. Okay, but the fruit itself, yeah, is acidic. But again, it's the balance between the two, alkalinity and acid. It's the balance between the two. This is what I want you guys to understand. Now, here's another part of it. When you're talking about absorption, when you're talking about digestion, when you're talking about metabolism, when you're talking about all these things, vitamin C comes into play. You can't You can't get away from it. Vitamin C comes into play. Let me get that so y'all can see that. Vitamin C comes into play. Berry. Okay. Vitamin C comes into play. So now we're talking about absorption on a whole nother level, because studies have been shown and proved that when you combine vitamin C with iron, it increases the production. Simple as that. Simple as that. So again, when we're dealing with pineapples, why is that important? Because pineapples are very high in vitamin C, 432 milligrams, okay, in pineapples. So again, when you're dealing with, if you're eating a high protein diet, this is, you wanna have pineapples in your, because this is gonna help break down this food. The bromelain, that enzyme, that the vitamin C that's inside this pineapple is gonna help. Again, only when you're dealing with a severe case of acid reflux, or if you're allergic, you want to stay away from pineapple. But other than that, pineapples are very, very beneficial. Did you listen? Read up on pineapples. Let's take it to another corner, right? Read up on pineapples when it came to Christopher Columbus. Okay, I know people. Yeah, he was he was terrible, but just read on the history of it. Like that, pineapples was royalty. They listen. People who were walking around with pineapples, okay, that right there was some form of like, yo, you rich. It's royalty. Pineapple was very expensive, okay. When Christopher Columbus, when he discovered it and brought it back to Europe, pineapple was used as royalty, bro. Like, it showed that you was rich, okay. So this is no joke. So we gotta just understand this on another level. Again, when Dr. Sebi was speaking of acid and alkalinity, he was speaking in terms of things that didn't derive from nature, things that man have created, things that man have manipulated. He was talking about meat. He was talking about dairy. This is what he was really referring to, and how that can be so acidic, and it will harm you. It will hurt you. Okay, it will devour you. That's what he was talking about. He wasn't really speaking on things that occurred naturally, okay, in nature. Because you're not going to sit up here and tell me every fruit that's on that list, okay, that is acidic, you don't supposed to consume. Because you can look at the list and some of the fruits are acidic. Just because pineapple may be a little bit more acidic doesn't mean it's not good for consumption. And we need to understand that. That bromelain, that enzyme, that's good for circulation. That's good for treatment of cancer. That's good for the absorption, digestion. That's good for the gastrointestinal tract. Come on, man. You don't really find that enzyme in any other fruits. That's why it's an amazing fruit. So we use the pineapples. We're going to continue to use the pineapples. Y'all just got to understand the difference between alkalinity and acid. You got to understand that there's a balance between the both. And what he meant by acids in the form of man and nature, man and God. Okay? It was a total difference. It was a total difference. So, again, some studies will show that when you actually eat the pineapple, it then turns alkaline, okay? That's what some studies will show. Even with lemons. Lemons, it's the same thing. It shows that, right? But yeah, primarily, in its whole, yes, it's acidic. But you got to understand the difference between that. And again, bases burn more than acids. Understand that. Understand that. So alkalinity, too much of it can be bad, and too much acid can be bad. So it's a balance, just like our blood, 7.35. So I hope y'all understand this, and this information brings some attention to your search or your research of things that you may not knew before. But that's just to answer this question that was asked about the POB, this one right here. Okay, how is it alkaline if the pineapple is acidic? So that was the answer to that question. So I hope that it was informative enough, or was a good enough breakdown to answer that question. You gotta understand the difference. A cup of orange juice, a cup of pineapple juice is not gonna harm you. Okay, but I guarantee you, if you take a cap of bleach or ammonia, you're gonna be in somebody's hospital. I guarantee you. But that's alkaline though. And like I say, go drink a water. Go drink a water. If that's not a good enough example, go drink a water that's a pH of 10. Go drink a water that's a pH of 11, and see if you don't get a headache. Listen, another thing before I go. Dr. Sebi will always talk about the thermal waters. And he was always talk about how people would come to the village in Honduras and they had the thermal waters available for people. Okay? Understand what I just said. Available for people, not for drinking. Why? Because he understood that pH is too high. It's too high to drink. The water is not for consumption. It was for people to heal. So guess what? People who had a severe case of diabetes, whose legs were like a few days away from having to be amputated, he would bring them, they would come over and they would go in the